All right, folks, good morning. Welcome on back here to our brand new edition of Traders Talk. I should say good afternoon, at least here on the East Coast. 12 o'clock noon. Great to have all of us just back inside our live trading room, though. Leda, Alicia, Carlos, Chuck, got Margaret just before Denzel, one of our new trial members here just joining us. Got Sharon, William C., Joyce, all of us here. Full house live inside our trading room. Great to have all of our students and members there. But if you're on social media, the Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube crew, all of our folks on social media, down below at Cyber Trading U. This is a live workshop that we conduct every Monday afternoon, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific, perhaps, but otherwise. If you wanted to join us inside our live trading room after this workshop, go right down to the link scrolling down below. Look to join us here full-time inside our trading room. But that said, I mean, hey, we normally set the bar low as we'd set on Mondays and Fridays, especially, in the middle of August, pretty much. We're wrapping up summer soon enough. It's good to set the bar low. And then when there are certain trades that pop up on our radars, as Fausto builds our watch list at 9 o'clock Eastern each day, and then as we're here each and every morning, at least inside our live trading room, it will give us the chance to try and follow good icebergs. And with good direction, we see continuation. And a morning like this, where you set the bar low, ended up to be an incredible one. Lawrence, inside our live trading room, he made his day's pay with us early. Even right now, as I'm yapping, there's a couple of trades I'm in on right now that are popping right here, including Peloton. This was a stock that was not on our morning watch list to begin. It was called out early on, though, for us here. So, why am I focused on this trade now? Why am I in it here actually live as I'm talking to you? Let's try and go over this at least briefly, to really teach and trade at the same time. We have our classes, including the Phase 3 stock course. Get a 35-plus year pro like Fausto himself trading in the market. That's the best chance for us to go through the motions together. So as far as the trade, we'll see where it goes and how well I can manage it, juggling a few things at once here. Where do we see resistance on this stock? Beginning from pre-market, where do we see resistance? Got Nabil here, Grant, who else? We got Steve, we got Millard, we got Mike P. Farzado is joining us here, April as well. What two lines are your resistance levels here from pre-market? I mean, there's definitely two answers. I'm not trying to throw a curveball question at you here. Both look, pretty dark red, dark orange going across the page. One longer than the other, but pretty straightforward, right? I mean, even this one's out there since 7 Eastern in the morning. So at $8.50, $8.50. And then after that, $9.10. Not even $9, but $9.10. You would assume for there to be a level at 9, but guess what? You see this iceberg here at 9.10, about 43,000 plus shares. That may be our target on my trade coming up here with us. But at least across the morning, what happened? Well, it moved up to the resistance at first. First time it tests resistance, it should look to hold it. So even if it false breaks it, it's expected. Pop, drop, no problem. Now, I jumped into this trade one time already before here. It kept stabbing the level, and I took this trade. Jumped over 850. I took it at 852. And then, like I always tell Margaret and Grant and Liz now more recently here joining us as a member, and William, go through my catchphrases here with you. If this is such a big level at 850 and the stock is breaking through it on the way up, two words I'm looking for here, right? What should we be seeing the stock do shortly after it breaks through this big level going up? We're looking for what, folks? Simply put, big move, right? Or blast off, Chuck says. There you go. I'll go with that too. But yeah, we're looking for a big move on this trade. If this is so bullish here, if the buyers are in total control, then let's have it go, because it keeps retesting the same damn level. We should be seeing a good reaction. Now we have resistance at 9. This showed up at least after the market opened. It's not surprising. That's assumed, but just shows it point blank there. Now, it didn't work out for me. I ended up getting out on this trade at 846. Just, it's not going to make that big move going up. Then maybe it makes a big move just the total opposite way. So I have no problem taking a tiny little loss there, because it could present a new opportunity for us coming up. So the name of the game now is to make sure this resistance doesn't become resistance again. And what do I mean by that? Well, hey, I mean, even Damon, you've been with us now for a few weeks, I believe, here. So you should know, and probably from just past experience before you join us here, it's just basic charting 101. When a stock breaks over resistance and it's running from it, it's moving off of it, what are we looking for that resistance to become next? That ceiling is now your what? Your support, your floor, right? And this shows it pretty evidently here. There's a huge volume buildup off of 850, 848. So, hey, at the bare minimum, let's make sure that this area can be contained as such as support. Otherwise, yeah, I'm going to look for a move up towards $9. If not, maybe 910, where we originally had that pre-market resistance from earlier. So we'll come back to this trade, but this in a nutshell is just basic entry 101. The question is, does the stock have enough in the gas tank, or maybe rather, I should say, is its foot on the gas pedal hard enough right now for the stock to try and make that better move? Or is this just a tiny higher high and then it comes back down and it's just a failed move at that point? So the reason that I'm confident about this trade is not even just what you're seeing here. This alone makes me pretty freaking confident about a run. I love this pattern. But we traded this stock like a couple days ago, back on Thursday, I think it was last week. So whatever news came out here, I don't even recall. But it was a pop and drop then. Granted, if it pulls back here, maybe drops as low as what? The past resistance from the chart here around 804. So I'm not trying to hold on that far. If this fails to hold 850, 848 here as working support to try and make another move up towards 910, then you better look to get out pretty quickly. My stop's already set on this trade, so seatbelt's already on. We're good to go. Now, though, I will tell you, we got a bunch of new trial members joining us here, and quite frankly, this workshop is not just for trial members. This is the most important workshop if you're a trial member, but is just a student of CTU. If you work with me in our classes, our coaching program, I want you to send in questions, because if you don't, you're never going to get your answers. So I've probably gotten more emails that came in today in the last couple of months combined. So that's awesome. Great to see questions come in from Scott, Sonia. I saw Denzel, Nabil. I saw Linda actually earlier. Maybe Alan as well, perhaps, if I'm not mistaken there. I see one from Jin. So again, if you sent in questions, we're going to go through them right now. But again, just keep in mind, if you have any trades or questions, make sure that you send them in early. Early bird gets the answer. And let's get right to it here. Actually, I had to move this from spam. So sometimes in my emails, you got to double check spam or junk. But actually, a couple of quick questions came in from one of our new trial members, Linda. So just go through them pretty quickly here. Linda first asking, just she's a new trial participant here. On Fausto's book, How to Beat the Market Makers at Their Own Game, page 119. Reference is made in finding the Axe, AX. We're not talking Axe body spray, folks, right? We're talking Axe as in the predominant market maker. That is the answer pretty much to what Linda's looking for. She wants to know, what is AX, AX. That's a phrase, a term in Fausto's book. That was a very popular phrase to use back in the early days of SOS bandits and just, ECNs alike, or actually before ECNs. It was prior to NASDAQ Total View coming out, prior to ECNs, electronic communication networks. But that was where you were able to find the predominant market maker, Linda. And it was on level 2. So you're able to find this on your level 2 screen. And that's just where you would see different firms out here like, I'm just going to list like Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Deutsche Bank, whatever it may be. If there's a market maker routing through their institution, you would see it on the level 2. But this was before the advancement of technology, I guess. That's not even the right phrase to use, but before the advancement of just ECNs alike. So now all of these big traders are routing their orders through level 3. Why do they do that? Because it's basically anonymous. You can't tell it's like Deutsche Bank or Goldman Sachs, whomever. Now, what we look for here on level 3, this is on my platform, my version of my level 3, whether it's level 3 or even level 4 right here, we're looking for those larger orders out there on the bid ask. That's the best way for us to tell who the big players are that are driving the stock up or down. Even just earlier, I'm going to go over another trade, the stock SBET here. But it's interesting that you start to see these sell orders popping up just recently. Well, it's going to give the stock a much tougher ability to go up when you have out of nowhere 50+ thousand shares on the ask of level 3 or level 4, as well as a 133,000 share seller as well popping up here. that in its own is what we look at to determine, all right, well, it looks like there's been a bunch of selling pressure that's been injected into this order book of late. So you don't need to find the axe to determine who the big players are. And it's not even just by finding these, icebergs. That's the easiest way to do it. But there's other strategies that we discuss in our classes with level 3 and level 4. I can go through them here briefly, but it takes just honestly a few go arounds of our class. I can give you a quick little spark noted answer, but it's not going to be the be all end all to help you. So at least I can help you here by saying the axe is something that we don't really focus on anymore, right? Fausto's book probably, I gotta say, is like 15, 16 years old, if I'm not mistaken. So a lot of technology has actually happened since, including bookmap, including level 4 here, right? I was thinking about writing a book about bookmap, but got enough irons in the fire here, at least for us at CTU. So, that's a different story for a different day. Now, separately here, though, just a couple more questions from Linda asking, hey, can you explain how to read bookmap level 4? There we go. Great segue. And also, what is a ladder? Ladder, ladder, like stair step ladder. So, this is bookmap, of course. And I just gave a brief example or two on how to read it, kind of showing those orange and red lines out here on Peloton, right? Resistance here. SBET, new resistance here, these dark orange and red lines. That's the first thing that you want to focus on. You might ask, well, what are the yellow and the beigeish and even some white at times, these horizontal lines that are lighter toned in color? Don't focus on that. If you've ever seen the movie Predator, like the scary movie with the guy, the dreadlocks, he's got the thermal vision. Well, think of this as like heat map style. It's thermal vision. So the darkest orange, the darkest red are your hottest. That's your largest orders out there at the time. In a nutshell, that's the best way for you to read it for right now. Again, in our classes, we'll talk a lot further about the dots. We'll talk about the CVP, work with you in our coaching program as well that come with the courses. But now, what's a ladder? That's something I can detail here pretty quickly, if I may. So let's see if we could try and find a good one, at least right now. All right, let's see. Is this one? Nah, it's not a ladder yet, but maybe this could be a ladder here on this TLS trade in due time. So here's what I mean. We have a new order showing up, not on the sell side. This is not on the sell, but this is actually on the buy side here, Linda. This is at 365. It's about 50,000 shares. It's pretty damn big. And instantly, as soon as that order showed up, what happened? The stock popped like 20 cents. So it goes to show how strong these orders really are when it comes to driving the stock in a direction. Real quick, for all of us otherwise, little pop quiz. What's our next resistance on this trade? When you look at my screen here, what's our next resistance on this trade? Denzel, yes. Asking about, yeah, I'm going to jump to your question, Denzel, just in a moment. I got your email, so all of us answering $4. Absolutely. So, hey, as soon as this order showed up at 366, looks like it's on its way now towards $4. But even with that, when this order shows up here, it will take the stock only so far. So, what's a ladder? Well, a ladder would technically be, whoops, like a ladder would technically be, as I break out my telestrator here, my John Madden telestrator here, football almost ready here for us, but you got your red line. What happens if this line disappears and they end up moving it up actually to 375? As soon as they pull the order at 366, what if they simultaneously move it up to a price like 375? Well, that leads me to believe that they want this stock to push up even more. So if you were to see this where this line disappears and then instantly shows up at a higher bid, that would create a bit of a ladder, a step ladder, as we would say otherwise. So, that can help push a stock upward in price. But again, that's something we take a lot of time in our classes as well to cover from head to toe. So I don't have it up right now. All right, I'll break out my PowerPoint at least next week. Keep in mind, though, next week we're actually continuing along with our Phase 1 stock course. I teach this in full in our Phase 1 stock course. It's the last lesson of our curriculum, of our cycle. So it's lesson number 12. And last question from Linda, at least for right now. I just see all my other emails here. So last one from her for the time being. What is a category 5 trader? Well, good segue actually with this because I got a hurricane coming my way. Like literally, there's supposed to be a hurricane coming my way, Southwest Florida, some point next week, right? So, for any of my Florida friends down here, I got a bunch of us. I know I just worked with one of us here in coaching before, Wayne. Who else? Who else? I'll shout out Damon in Atlanta, Georgia, at least East Coast down here, right? But otherwise, Chuck in Florida with us here, Chuck V. Got a bunch of us now. Why am I saying hurricane, hurricane, hurricane? Well, when you're talking about a category 5, it's going to blow the freaking roof off the house, right? So for a stock like SBET, this stock SBET, this was a great move from earlier today. It's a fun stock to trade if you know how to focus on levels. If you know our strategy already in the back of your head, and if you're setting your stops instantly as soon as you should be, this is a pretty fun stock. Now, with that in mind, fun doesn't always mean easy. So, with that said, this is probably more of a category 3 to 4 stock right now. And then from earlier, it could have been as much as a 5. Now, that's determined based off of how filled in or how not filled in this order book is. So, if you're someone that has not day traded with success, with consistent success, we got to look ourselves in the mirror, folks, when we answer these questions. But if you're someone who has not found consistent success day trading stocks before coming to CTU, we don't want you to be trying to play with the category 4, category 5 stocks. Your roof is going to get blown off. So I'd rather you focus on stocks that have a little bit less risk behind it. Peloton here for what it's worth. A little slow, mind you. Definitely a little extreme example here, one to the other. But this is probably more of a category 2, 1 to 2 stock, I'd say. This is not volatile by any stretch of the imagination. The stock has iceberg orders, but it's not moving up or down a lot per minute. The spread's pretty tight here if you're looking at the order book. Pretty much every bid, pretty much every ask has some formative order at it, right? So that is how we kind of categorize these stocks in a nutshell there, Linda. That's a class I do also in phase 1, but it's kind of like midway through there, folks. Like lesson 7 or 8 of our curriculum there. All right, but hey, Linda, let me know if you have any other questions on the side after this workshop is finished up. I'm always checking my emails, also our private chat messages there as well. You can instant message me on the side away from all of us here. Now, let's keep going down. We got a bunch of questions. Keep them coming, folks. So Scott asked this earlier on, MRM. Forgot about that trade. MRM from Friday. Jeez. When I tell you that I forget what I have for breakfast in the morning, yes, I'm joking when I say literally that. But I tell you, I totally forgot about this MRM trade from Friday afternoon. Fausto was saying Friday was all right. It wasn't, it was okay. No, Friday was insane. If you were with us inside our live trading room and if you caught the MRM when we had called it out, actually. So, Scott, I totally forgot about this trade, right? All right, let me actually do something quick, Scott. I'm going back into my chat logs, so give me a moment. Just stay on the horn with me, Scott, for a quick moment. Just going into my private chat or going into my chat log from Friday afternoon on the MRM stock. And let's get back to your email. So can you cover the pullback / entry point of 207 that you called out for MRM on Friday? I think it was a pretty dramatic dip from the point you mentioned, that level as support that you wanted to see. He got in on a trade at 207 and the stock did well, going up to $3.20 before collapsing. You would like to understand and the analysis that I applied, if I could remember it. And I mean that too, because I can only go back so far. Here's our chat from Friday afternoon. Yeah. Now I remember this. Okay, so $2 as resistance, you would figure as a whole number, but this I think had to do with the VWAP flipping from resistance into support. So it didn't happen until later in the day, though. So Rich making some commentary, popping or moving back over its opening print. Roberto cleaning up right there, and here's me saying I've got all day, 2 hours and 10 minutes. Get it? Because the market closes at 4 for MRM to make this move. And I was even telling Roberto at the time, I'm remaining patient on a potential pullback. And at the time, I was looking for 207. So let's actually dip into that. Maybe I need to go back in my book map here. I think this had to do with the VWAP, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, it's going up right now. There you go. Nice. MRM's like popping right now as we're talking. All right. One moment here, folks. Just going back in my Peloton trade here. This is kind of a dead duck for right now. It's laying over my level, but all right. Probably needs to go back even more. Bear with me. Bear with me. Yeah, that's exactly it. It was the VWAP. That was exactly what it had to do with. So, it broke over the VWAP here. Perfect pop, perfect push up. Just like you answered to me earlier, just about 15 minutes ago or 10 minutes ago. What happens when a stock breaks over resistance and it runs resistance flip to support? And I was looking at like 207. I think that's like kind of where it was live at the time. Kind of came into 203 and then bounced. So pretty much just that area. Let me see if I can even go back more. But what you could just see is that this has had a very tough time breaking over the VWAP and staying over the VWAP. Yeah, here you can see 207 right there. Load more data. But you can see resistance, broke over it here, dumb, like really early in the morning. And from there, you would figure maybe there's a shot for it to flip. Didn't do it. Came back down. Again, resistance, resistance. All right, well, listen, if the stock wants to prove itself, then let it play nice. It popped here, but I remained patient. I was looking for a pullback, and from there's our 207, right on up. So this was a beauty of a trade. Even if you got out at 270, 280 on this trade and it pushed up a little higher, you weren't really expecting the sharpness of the move here at this time. If this took up until 4 o'clock and it closed near the highs, that's just as fine by me, as long as it gets me to my reward. I'm looking for a good reaction to begin, and it gave me a good reaction to begin. Now, the question is, does it make higher lows, higher highs, or does it make lower highs, lower lows? So not every trade is going to work out like this, right? And all of us inside our room know that. But that's just where if you're applying consistent strategy, eventually you're going to get your reward, right? Because not every stock is going to do what you want it to do. Not every stock is going to, pull back perfectly to that price. Maybe it holds higher and I don't jump in, right? That happens. That happened actually, that happened earlier this morning on the Soon stock. I want to pull back to the VWAP. It fell about 5 cents shy and it held higher and just never got in. It happens. But that's just where the more that you're patient and you're consistently applying strategy, then it's going to pay off. It's going back up a little bit right now. Spread's kind of ugly for a cheap stock like this, though. So, this had a lot more volume on the book back on Friday last week. So just because it's going up now, that doesn't mean much to me in the grand scheme. If the spread tightens on this thing, then I'll be a little bit more confident about a better move. Maybe this does try and come back up to 330s or so. That's all. But yeah, Scott, let me know if you have any questions on that trade, at least any follow-ups on that. Let's keep going through emails. I got to make sure all these emails get answered. I told you earlier, if you want your question answered, make sure that you send it in early, and a lot of us did. So Sonia had asked in just before. Let's see. I'm just going to read this to myself at first. Pardon me. Okay, so real briefly, just want to make mention, so Sonia, and to any of our new members joining us here, if you have any issues with your platform, I appreciate her telling me now because I'm going to make sure that Rich, messages her, and she'll be in good hands with Rich, who's awesome on the IT side of things, computer software platform. So if anyone has any problems with their platform, hey, it's not like we got the be all end all answer every time, but we're here to help. And especially with Thinkorswim, we work on that platform as much as any other. So Sonia, I'll have Rich message you at least, after we finish this workshop up. Perhaps if he's at his desk right now, he might even message you here. But he'll help you out at least, no matter what. Listen, as a new student of CTU, we do want you to go through all of our classes, not even just phase 1, but phases 2 and 3, because that will give you the full meat and potatoes of our curriculum. So phase 1, I do a lot of PowerPoints and I go over the basics. I show how level 3 works. I show how the scanners work. But in phase 2 and then phase 3 of our curriculum, I'm blending all of these subtopics together to give you the full product at hand, right? Um, so that just goes to anyone. If you only have a fraction of our curriculum, I do suggest for you to consider at least the further parts of our course. Now, with that though, just to kind of answer Sonia's real question, uh, Sonia's asking on a smaller account size. I think that she thinks that she's only able to use market orders and not limit orders. No, no, no. So, Sonia, you are absolutely able to buy and sell using limit orders. The question is on the Thinkorswim platform, are you using their actual platform that you downloaded to your computer, or are you using their website version? Their website version may have limited features compared to the actual platform. That's just something I'm thinking of off the top of my head there. But I can't imagine for you to have any restrictions on not using a limit order. So, again, that's something that my colleague Rich would be able to assist with. I will mention, though, so if you do have a smaller starting base, whatever the number may be, you may be only limited to, how many trades per week, about 3 day trades across a given week. Now, I'll tell you that's if you're using margin. If you're on margin, but you're under the 25,000 pattern day trade limit, you're going to be subjected to 3 day trades across a rolling 5 day period of time. If you're using a cash account where you're not given that leverage, you are able to place numerous trades across even a given day, but you could only use your cash. You don't have that leverage. So, with 500, it definitely makes things extremely difficult. For folks that have 2,500 or 5,000, it's a lot more feasible because let's say if you're doing trades that are about $500 per position and you got a $2,500 account or a $5,000 account, you got more bullets in your ammo bag for you to go through, right? If you do $500 per trade. Are you making the big bucks doing that? No, but that's what you should know upon opening up your account. Small money is not going to give you the big buck reward, and that's okay. But don't try and shoot for the stars on small money because that's where you will feel a bit deflated if you're looking to hit a certain number money wise and you're only working with so much in your account. So it's good to take stepping stones and kind of learn incrementally. That's just where I'll tell you though, if you are on a little bit more of an account, 2,500, 5,000, you have a lot more flexibility if you're using a cash account. If you're on margin, then you are subjected to those 3 day trades. It's basically in a week. It's across a rolling 5 day period. So just keep that in mind. All right. I feel like I'm Ricky Bobby sometimes. I don't know what to do with my hands. All right, let's see what else we got here. Anything else before we finish up on Sonya here? I feel like yeah. So now I will say though, to finish up with Sonya and all of our new students here, especially on the level 4 front with Bookmap. If you don't have Bookmap, always feel more than free to ask myself or Rich for a picture. Hey, Josh, can you post the Nvidia Bookmap for me? Hey, Rich, can you post the Bookmap for Peloton? It takes us all of 30 seconds to take a quick picture and private chat message that to you. So I mean this. Use us to your advantage. If you don't have level 4, at least there. I just want to bring that up. All right. Keep them coming in, folks. Again, not done with Sonia yet. My apologies. 2 emails. So the first one. All right. Second one from Sonia. Can you explain the difference between a market order and a limit order? Yeah. So just to go further into that part of it, right? Because you were asking about like not being able to use a limit order. That's a little interesting. So a market order, you know what I'll do? I'll just use level 3 here instead. A market order, your order gets filled instantly. So if I even take a snapshot of my level 3, this is my level 3 here. This is TradeStation, the Matrix program. These are all limit orders. I teach this in a class I do in phase 1. But these are all limit orders, by the way. If there's someone out there that's going to say, oh, let me buy right now with using a market order, then they're going to skip the queue. They're just going to get their order filled instantly at the lowest sell order here. Now, if they're buying a shit ton of shares, if they're buying like 20,000 shares, then they're going to blow through a lot of this liquidity then, at that point. But I'll just point out with using a market order yourself, if you're just trading 200 shares, 1,000 shares, whatever it is, and you press buy at market, your order is getting filled at the lowest sell order. So you don't have to worry about all these people because you're just agreeing to buy at whatever the lowest sell price is at the time. All right. A limit order, you have control of what price you want to buy at. Do you want to see the stock drop down 10, 15 cents first and then you'll buy? Because then you'd submit an order to buy at a much lower price, like 1,000 shares here at like 250 or something. Just making gibberish up down there, but all right, so that's the quick difference. Level 3 shows limit orders and limit orders only, simply because market orders are designed to get filled just like that. All right, from Denzel, got a few questions from Denzel here briefly. You are obviously using other screens to check the news and or the status of other stocks. What are they? And which screener or which scanner, I'm sorry, is being used? Yeah, so Denzel, I use two screens here myself. Then I have a laptop at times as a third monitor myself here. I don't have my laptop next to me, if you can see it. But I just use these two screens I got, this one and one to the right. Uh, Now, this is my stock trading platform, and then pretty much I'll have Bookmap up on this screen too, toggling back and forth. So, one thing I'll point out myself, I'm just speaking selfishly as Josh Trader. I've been with Fausto for 11 years. I've been working on 6 monitor setups, 4 monitor setups, 2 monitor setups. You don't need to have all of these crazy monitors attached to your system. Less is more. You know what I mean? So, not to say you can only really use one. I would say minimum go with 2. But at least here, I got Bookmap if I want to use it. If I want to go back to my stock trading platform, I'll just minimize, just use that. I have my trading room and my emails and my scanners on my other monitor right here, which, by the way, I'm also using for Restream right now, social media stuff. Hey, how's it going, YouTube people? There we go. All right. So, I'm using miscellaneous on my right side monitor. I'm using trading basically on my left side monitor. That's me, though. All right. And then really briefly, as far as the scanner being used. So I have a built-in scanner on my platform. So I do use this early in the morning, especially if I'm doing the meetings for Fausto in the morning or afternoon. So even right now live, looks like my pot stocks are doing pretty good. The ETFs are doing pretty nice for right now. MSOX, uh, Naka here, I think, is a Bitcoin stock popping right now. So this is just a custom built gainers list that's on my platform. But otherwise, I personally use Benzinga Pro. You got to pay for it. It's a premium subscription service. But Benzinga Pro right here is really good because it's just real time. Everything about it, just scanner, news feed, calendar. Now, again, I'm not trying to be Josh the salesman here. I'm trying to be Josh, your friend, because inside our trading room, myself and Rich use this every singular second of the day. So don't feel the need to pay an arm and a leg or pay more than you feel you need to on software when you're right here inside this trading room. So we're always scanning for you here. Just want to let you know that. All right, let's keep the emails coming in. Oh, I got like a few more from Denzel as well. I really didn't see where icebergs were part of the equation on which stocks to look at to buy or sell. So I'll tell you right now, definitely, at least to this point, we've been doing Traders Talk now for about 30 minutes. So I hope that you definitely seen it so far, Denzel, at least in the examples that I've covered here for you. Even right now, as we're talking live, if Peloton wants to make a move to that $9, to that 9.10 level that was originally there in pre-market, then I got to tell you, it's got to make a next push over this smaller resistance. This showed up a little earlier here at 10:30 in the morning, but just kind of went up towards it right now, starting to pull back. All right, well, if this stock wants to make, that next leg, just have it pop back up and blast through the 25,000 here, and I'll feel a hell of a lot better about at least getting up to 9. So again, I can go through numerous other examples here in just a moment here with you. Also, just from Denzel, what are the deciding factors on when to buy or when to buy/enter a stock purchase in the discussion, I heard stocks are doing this and that, but when should one consider to buy? Well, the MRM trade definitely, again, we just covered that trade from Friday, the entry off the VWAP price, that was right there. Let's go over the SBET stock. Let's just, kill two birds with one stone here on SBET. So SBET, this is not a stock that new students should be trying to dip their hand into. I know we don't like being told what not to do, guys. I'm the leader in that clubhouse. I'm a stubborn son of a bitch. I get it. But that's just where I'll tell you, you're going to have an easier time following a stock like Soon that also made a great pop today. This has a much more balanced, filled in order book compared to SBET. But if you want to know why this stock made such a good move here today, well, it's not just based off the icebergs, but it's also based off the prints on the tape, time and sales transactions that kicked in. All right. So, this stock SBET is tied with cryptocurrency, with Ethereum in particular. We crushed it on this stock back earlier this year, a couple months ago. It was a pop and drop stock. We figured that as much, so we weren't trying to swing trade it. It was just a day trade. But today, there was some news that came out, and it obviously led to a great reversal later on here. But let's just say if you had an interest in this trade going into the market open, where do we have our icebergs? Where do we see icebergs right here going across this page for all of us here? Lynn and Randy, Debbie, Nabil, all of us here briefly. And again, folks, questions going forward, you're going to need to send them in early because I have a whole laundry list of other questions that got sent in. We're going to finish up at 1 o'clock today. So if I have enough time, I'll get through all of our other questions that are being sent in here from chat. But where do we have our orange and red lines here, folks? What do we got? A lot of us here saying 24 and 25, right? What's the larger of the two? What's the larger of the two? All of us saying 24. How can you tell? Well, it's a darker orange-red shade here compared to the other one. And then simply just looking at the number, COB, right? This is the order that represents this line at 25, about 30,000. This order at this line represents the buyer here, 51 plus thousand. Now, whatever news came out, it spiked the stock down at first. So going into the market open, this isn't making higher highs. This isn't making a move upward. It's not making lower lows. But if you're saying that, yeah, this stock's kind of flat here right before the market opens up, well, the buyers aren't winning then, are they? No one's necessarily winning if a stock is very flat. But if the initial reaction was down, then I'm going to be led to believe the sellers are still going to win this battle at first, initially. So what happens? Market opens up. Well, you wait the first 5 minutes, of course. So it does shake down a little bit here, down to 23.36 or something like that. And I guess there was some support here popping up on the bid. Got a bunch of these orders. That's cool to see. Now, just case in point, the reason I just nonchalantly bring this up to you, it's irrelevant because the stock didn't drop down to these orders, did they? This didn't drop that low. So what gives? Where was the best level to enter from then? Well, it was roughly around 24. Because remember, where were our best, largest levels here? 24, then 25, right? So perhaps if this can re-break over $24 after the market opens up, if this stock is failing to break any lower and it keeps pecking this $24 as a working resistance, then you'd like to think eventually it's going to give out and this should pop over this level and perhaps run. Now, that's easy to say because, quite frankly, that's what happens, right? If we were able to dictate everything with perfect hindsight like this, right? But that's just where I'll tell you, 24 was a very good level to focus on for this stock, but it wasn't the largest level. And the largest level was actually executed, or it was identified right when the market did open. Right there. When the market opened up this morning, you saw your opening print. I talk about this in our classes, the phase 2 curriculum mainly. I take a lot of time there to go over this live with our students. So this is a combination of orders that are getting filled instantly when the market opens. Are these buy orders that are getting filled? Are these sell orders getting filled? It's both. Now, you'd like to think, though, at the bare minimum, if there's 478,046 shares that just got filled like that when the market opened at this exact price at 2408, we'll round up there. If you can't see that well, then I'll just show it once again. The data box where you see where it says volume, 478,046 shares. It's at a fractional price, but you round up, we'll say at 2408. All right, well, that's a hell of a lot larger than the, what was it, 51,000? What was that earlier, 51,000 or whatnot? Actually, it's more than that. Got to add these up actually together. What was that, 35 plus 10 plus 51 plus 31? All right, so it's over 100,000 shares actually here. All of this volume together does equate to over 100,000. You got to zoom in there. All right, well, still, folks, what's larger? What's more important? 100,000 or 478,046? Point being, it still worked out where it blasted above both prices. But I'm just telling you that after the market opens, doesn't matter the stock, doesn't matter if it's the Soon Trade or this one or Peloton or Tilray, you wait the first 5 minutes. That's the first part of our strategy after the open. Wait the first 5 minutes. And at least for what I teach in class in phase 2, well, hey, at least in those 5 minutes, we look at the opening print. If you took such a liking to this trade going into the market open here, well, you have your big level right here. And thankfully, it's only mere pennies over, well, 24, where you had a pretty big level beforehand. So case in point, if this could stab over this area after the first 5 minutes, then it gives you the reason to jump in. And there's no guarantee it's going to pull back here, right? Easy to say, but minimal pullback. It dipped a little bit, but not enough. And, once you buy it on the breakout, there's really no looking back. It just goes crazy, right? But hey, if it's not going to give you that big reaction, if it's not going to at least break over the VWAP and try and flip that into support next, then you got to ask, well, hey, if it's not going to make that big move in my direction for me, and if it makes a rather underwhelming reaction overall, if it came back down, then hey, what was the original move here? It was down. Who was originally winning this battle here when this tanked and it started making lower highs? Not the buyers. So it worked out so well, but you need it to. If this doesn't make a big move shortly after, it's going to make a big move shortly after, just the other way, and it's going to keep dropping. So, that's just a quick example using level 4 and not even looking at the icebergs like we did here at 24 bucks. But now we're talking even like the opening print. I do this more in our phase 2 curriculum, but nice clean move. The VWAP, let's see if that, this held as support at first. I thought this dipped down enough. Maybe it just kind of cratered over the VWAP here with double bottom, triple bottom, or higher lows otherwise. But by the time it came down to the VWAP here, check this. When it's coming down, well, it's 50-50. Because if this was such a strong pop to begin, then maybe we could see a support build at the VWAP here. Maybe this could come back up later on today. Possible. But this is such a good example of what not to do. This is easy to say in hindsight because we know this sliced through this thing like a hot knife through butter. But if you're looking for this to be support, let me ask Grant and Alicia and all of us here just joining us here. When a stock is approaching support and it's coming down to a support, there's 2 words I'm looking for here. It's not big move. It's not big move. But there's 2 words I look for. Blank / blank. What am I looking for here, folks? Blank / blank. If this is going to be a good support, this needs to do 2 things. Oh, Margaret, I love Margaret's answer. If and then, which is, I love that answer, Margaret. That would work too. If this stock does what I'm looking for everyone to answer, then we're going to get support to build. Love that answer. Under and over, right? Under and over. If this breaks under, then back over, there is your entry. Alicia's like, I was like, slash. Yeah, I probably could have phrased that better, but in the chat, I just wrote to all of us here, under slash over. So you'll see me write that in the chat board at times. But this broke right through this level without breaking back above it, didn't it? So if you're looking for an entry here, it's a good idea to look for an entry here. But by the time it slices under this level, it's breaking below it by 30 cents. I don't think that's under and over. I think that's under and down goes Frazier. So when a stock breaks below support and it's a clean break below support, what are we expecting that support to flip into? What are we expecting that support to flip into? Well, it's saying resistance, right? So this could have been a good spot, but clearly didn't work out the way that we would want it to even pull the trigger, and jump in. Now, listen, let's say if it did come back up and above here. Let's say if it fought this better, came back up and above. All right, let's see the big move shortly after. Let's see this play nice and make a better reaction going back up. Surely, if this is going to remain so bullish, then we could have this come back up and above like this area. We could have it test this little order that popped up, let alone try and go for the whole thing here. But if it doesn't even offer that, then it's just a head fake anyway. This wasn't even a head fake. This was just a slice right below, and that was it. All right, let's keep the questions coming in, folks. Again, some more from email here briefly. Last one, I think, from Denzel. It seems you use support resistance as key points and then use price candle action upon making an entry. Yeah, that pretty much just wrapped it up in a nutshell. Time for a water break. All right, let's keep it going though from here. Nabil asked this just before. Hi, Josh. Just my question regarding stock category 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I watched the full lesson on which you explained all of these categories. My question is, what's the purpose of all these categories? Which category you select as primary? Is it better to buy a category 1 and sell a category 3, blah, blah, blah? No. So again, we brought this up before. So I'm just seeing these emails now. So I definitely gave a good answer on this before to Linda. Think of categories like hurricanes. If you're not prepared to have your roof blown off, you should probably just trade more category 1 or 2 stocks. Those could be very well rewarding, but may not offer as such volatility there for you. But at least to say, like stocks like CGC, I'm in on this one also right now for the time being. This is like a category 1 stock. This might be as fast as we'll see this stock move all of today. I don't think this will start to get too crazy, at least today. Looking at how slow this stock has moved up until this point, I'm not advocating for you to be watching the grass grow, but on the flip side of it, I'd rather you not be trading stocks that have bad spreads, that you don't know where to find the icebergs at times because this looks so empty. If you don't have as easy of a read on this trade because of the order book, then I'd probably look elsewhere, right? I say this out loud to everyone here, certainly not to Nabil, but this just goes to everyone alike. We're not here to gamble. We're here to make educated decisions with our money, right? So if there's a lot of craziness going on this screen, why would I want to pull the trigger? If I'm not as confident with what I'm using or looking at, why would I want to risk tens of thousands of dollars of my hard-earned money? Work some long hours here, and I've worked for a long time here, some long hours. So why would I want to have that all go to waste, right? And I would imagine all of us would feel the same way. A lot of us here have been retired or have worked for 40 to 50 years in the workforce before wrapping it up and saying, listen, I made enough. I've worked long enough. I'm retiring. All right. Do you want to risk it all or risk a lot of it on a stupid trade that you don't really know too much about? It's hard to read. It's kind of a gamble, right? So that's just where I'll point out, category 1 or 2 or even a 3 like this it's just a lot easier to get a grip on. That's all. All right, Jin, how about this? Not a question from Jin, just joining us here. Shaffin, I should say, from Hicksville, New York, one of our neighbors here. But just a nice email. Thanks for reaching out. No question at the moment. No problem at all, Shaffin. There we go. Let's see. Yes, let's just wrap up here with Alan, and then we're going to finish up, folks. So Alan had sent in this question just as we started Traders Talk. As per conversation during coaching this morning, I would appreciate if you highlight the following today in Traders Talk. Can you go over the offset building a cushion, a difference between your stop price and your limit price? So yeah, absolutely. That's just where on the SBET trade we could just jump back to. Guess what just hit as perfect support right here, Alan, right? The opening print. So let's say someone says, you know what, I want to jump in this trade right now. I think it's going to go back up. That was a big level. We were just talking about 470,000. And you know what? It broke under this by, or you know what? It touched it. I think it touched it right there by exactly on the nose. All right. Let's say if it goes under and over, you jump in. Well, immediately you want to set your stop, right? And I went over the first part with Alan in our coaching session earlier, just in terms of where to set your stop in relation to the chart. Perhaps the pre-market levels here, maybe this wicks. Just you want to use the prior higher lows to your advantage. But what Alan's asking more than anything is mechanically with your stop order here, how do you place it, right? Now, I'm going to give everyone the real answer, obviously, right now. I'm not going to bullshit you, but I teach a full class on this in phase two, 60 plus minute class, setting stops, taking profits. Actually, we just did that back in July, if I'm not mistaken. We did that just last month in our classes, phase two, lesson number two. Now, though, if I jump into this trade, I'm going to want to set a stop order up, a stop limit order up, and that right away allows me to put in two prices. What I'm going to do, look at my level two here, everyone. So I'm just doing a dummy example for right now, but notice if I click on the price, 23.50. Notice here, my stop price right here, mostly shown, it shows 23.50. And then my limit price, it shows the same thing. If I click on any of these prices, it auto populates both of them at the stop price and the limit price, right? I'm just clicking with my left index finger or my right index finger, and you're seeing at least the prices change in both the stop price and the limit price fields, right? What Alan's asking is, how do you do the offset? I just move the limit price down like that. I just create a 5 cent, 4 cent, 3 cent cushion between the stop and the limit price right here. And that will pretty much ensure that your order is very unlikely to get skipped over. All right. And then again, as far as like just where to set the stop, I mean, in this trade, at least, you got 24.08, which is the opening print. And then also you got 24 bucks, which is that pre-market iceberg level. So again, to take a trade from here, I'm definitely trying to set my stop underneath this at the bare minimum, but I'd probably play it off like the prior higher lows, if anything. So if this wants to make that under over and there's actually some formative entry here for us later, I would just do that. But you got to make sure you trust your level, though. You got to make sure that, hey, there's a reason that we're focused on the 479,000 shares here, right? It's a hell of a lot larger than anything on this SBET trade all today. Reasons for moving my stop limit order up and when is a good time to do so? I try not to move it up right away. When a stock breaks through a big level, we should be getting a big move, right? So if I move my stop up right away as the stock is initially beginning to move, I'm cutting myself way too short. Even here, this trade for Tilray, I'm in on this thing right now live. See if I'm gonna have this thing hold well enough. But I heard there's some news on the pot stocks, right? Trump talking about declassifying things or downgrading them, I should say. But point being is that, well, hey, we got the opening print right here, round that up there. So it's about 1.2 milli that got filled at basically 79 cents. All right, if this stock is going to continue to be as bullish as I want it to be, then it blasted over this as resistance, moved up not too much, but I'm saying if this wants to run later, then at the minimum, this should act as a pretty damn good support. I'll give it maybe a penny or two worth of slack. I'm not going to set it, 1/1000th of a penny below 0.7878. But at least here now at this stage, if this stock wants to make higher highs, then let's see it at least hold this pretty well now, right? It dipped down here as we were doing our workshop and bounced back up. All right, listen, if it's going to play nice, then let it at least hold higher lows now. That's all. So maybe I move my stop up there. But if this really wants to take off right now, I feel like it's in good standing too. And if this does pop coming up for us here, this like cheap thing, Tilray, I would love for it to get to $1. So I don't want to sell myself too short if there's no reason to, right? Now that sounds kind of vague, right? And Alan, one of our longtime students, one of our great traders here, I should say, but I'm working with him in our coaching program pretty much, and we're gonna have a lot more time to go over that together. All right. Folks, we are going to call it right now. I'm going to jump onto another coaching call with one of our students at least here. So if you have any follow-up questions, it is on you. Shoot me over a quick email, and I'll have enough time later this evening to write you back. I have to get back to one student at least with a trade review they had sent in from Sunday. But otherwise, folks, hey, enjoy the rest of the day today. We'll be back live inside our trading room coming up at 2:30 p.m. Eastern for our next broadcast. At least we're still here. But, we're going to see if there's any other movers to work with heading into that time. So, we'll see if there's anything moving. We'll type it in the chat board for all of us here collectively. And then again, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, etc. Be a friend, tell a friend. Always look to spread the good gospel here at Cyber Trading University, right? We teach you how to follow the big money, how to follow the big orders. So it all begins by joining us, even just on YouTube at Cyber Trading U. Make sure to join us each and every morning live there, 9 a.m. Eastern, 35 plus year pro Fausto Pugliese scanning the market there for you. You got my raspy voice, at least in the afternoons. But otherwise, though, we're here all throughout the day inside our trading room. If you wanted to take the next steps, at least join Brad and Grant, Leda, Laureen, Roseanne, all of us just joining us right now. I see about 114 of us live. Go right down to the link scrolling on the bottom down below in blue, ctu.co/trial. We look forward to having you here just over the course of the next week or so. But otherwise, hey, we'll be back on in just a little bit here, folks. Stay tuned, and we will be right back.